The Village of El Portal Administration and Finance Committee meeting will be called to order on Tuesday, September the 17th at 6:36 p.m. May I please have a moment of silent meditation followed by a pledge of allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, everybody. May I please have a roll call, Madam?
Roll call. Chairperson Nickerson.
Here.
Vice Chair Roman.
Here.
Mayor Cubillos will not be in today. Also present for the record, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk, Interim Village Attorney Norman Powell, and Village Manager Cristia Lu. Also with Ivan from the Finance team.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. For the approval of the agenda, do I have anything, Councilperson Roman, you want to add or delete or anything like that?
No, I don't believe so.
All right. If there's anything that, as we go along, you know how I can.
I mean, there's something I have in mind that we said we were going to leave for this meeting, but I'm not sure if you're going to discuss it. So we'll wait.
What's that?
I wasn't sure if we're going to be discussing the RFP for the attorney.
So yeah, so we have
Okay.
those are so yeah, we have those. Got you covered, sister. I got you covered. So with that being said, do I have a approval of the agenda? A motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Moving right along, hearing no nays. Approval of minutes. I haven't had a chance to look at the minutes. I don't know, Councilperson Rome, if you had a chance to look at the minutes from.
I did.
Did
They're
you?
fine.
Did they look good?
I'm just
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
a motion to approve.
And I'll second that motion to approve the minutes. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Any nays for approving the minutes? Hearing none. Good and welfare, this is the moment in time for you guys to be able to come up and say anything that you want about anything that's on this particular agenda. There will be another one later on, so if you guys don't want to speak up right now, you have another chance towards the end of this committee meeting. Seeing none, we'll move right on. Down to the agenda items. So this is where Councilperson Roman, where we have discussion of possible RFPs. This is where I put that there so that we can go over any RFPs that are outstanding. Any RFPs we want to go through, talk about, bring up, put on the radar, anything like that. This is RFP Central Time. The first one. And Madam Manager, you're the expert in this ballpark when it comes to these. But the first one that we have to talk about is the waste disposal contract.
Yes.
So.
Yes. I have gone through great lengths to prepare an RFP for waste disposal, waste management. I have kind of cross-referenced it with other municipalities in the area, and I think this would be an opportunity for us to see what else is out there. I know we've gotten a lot of issues or concerns raised by our community members about trash not being collected or cans being tipped over and schedules not being conducive to our needs, despite us, working very well with waste management. I think it may be time for us to do an RFP and to see what other options we have. It will probably significantly raise our rates, but that's something for us to see when we look at proposals. So I am recommending that we move forward with the RFP for waste management as we've been discussing for almost 12 months now.
Councilperson Roman.
I don't have anything to add. This has been up for discussion.
Been up for discussion for a long time. Yeah, and just to reiterate, to make it clear, this has been up for discussion. It's as Councilperson Roman, I think, has put it in the past. It's past due time for us to look into a RFP for waste disposal services. But as the manager just stated, and she has stated prior, for everybody out there, all of our residents is watching, renegotiating this contract, because it's been such a long time
Right.
with this current contract, we were kind of locked into a particular amount of payment, and renegotiating this contract will not even more than likely, but pretty much absolutely see an increase in cost for the services.
Absolutely.
So,
When was the last time that we had this go out for RFP, do you know?
No, I don't know. It's long before my
Yeah.
time with the village.
it was, I was on the council. It was before Mayor Cabillos was mayor, because Daisy Black was mayor. So, man, you're talking about,
Okay, so it's about time.
Yeah, I know we've done a number of extensions, and when I came on board as village manager, we had extended because I think we had some trouble locating the contract, so I found it. We extended it 12 months, and I think we did another 12 months, but it's time, and I think they know we are considering this, waste management. So, and we did get an increase for our upcoming fiscal year of 3%. That's pretty low, but it's still an increase, and we want to see good service. So let's see what else is out there.
yeah, definitely. Anything else, Madam Manager, on the waste management RFP?
Not waste management. I can just.
Anything else? Thank you very much, Madam Manager. Anything else, Councilperson Roman, on the waste management or waste disposal RFP? Mr. Attorney, anything on the waste disposal RFP?
No, sir.
And Madam Clerk, anything on the waste disposal
No.
RFP? Thank you very much. Moving to the next one that I wanted to discuss, Madam Manager, as far as the services, the CFO services.
Well, we are currently finishing out our budget cycle, and we'll be looking at all of our vendors, finance, IT, we have a new.
Yeah, I was going to say IT next.
Yeah, we have a new team of employees. I think it's prudent to look at all of our contracts and just see where we are, where we need to strengthen our team. So I'll be looking into that and reporting back to you.
Yeah, we'll
all.
just be looking at those.
Yes.
So definitely. Councilperson Roman, anything about the IT or the CFO services that you want to bring up?
Do you have an idea, Christia, as to what your timeline is and which ones you will be sending out?
My timeline is to act on waste management. I'll assist with the attorney RFP that I'm sure you all will discuss in a moment, and review IT and other services. I hope to release an RFP in October. I'd like to get some change in by first of the year for a lot of these. So my timeline is within the next 3 to 4 weeks to release RFPs. I just have to stagger them considering our staff, and that I would be leading those review of proposals with a team, so that is labor intensive. So it will be before the year end.
So you're shooting for new services to start probably January 2020?
Yes.
Is there anything else about any of the RFPs as far as the IT or the financial services RFPs that you would like to add, Madam Manager?
No, not
thank
at
you.
this time. No.
Councilperson Roman, any more questions or comments about the IT RFP or the financial services RFP?
I don't have the IT, or we haven't seen anything for IT, so if you could just,
Yeah,
whenever you do, put that together.
I will. I'll share.
I think that's probably an important one, just because we're of the age of the
Yeah.
building and how long.
For sure.
And so it's important to get as up to date as possible with technology.
For sure.
I'll get that to you too.
Thank you very much. Mr. Attorney, anything about the IT RFP or the financial services RFP? No, thank you. And Madam Clerk, anything about the IT or financial services RFP? Okay. Moving right along. So the next one that we have here to discuss is the village attorney RFP. In the last full council meeting, we went through and it was voted on to bring the village attorney contract up for RFP, or send it out for RFP, I should say. Madam Manager, I'll let you start off. Is there anything you want to say?
Yes, through my research, I found that it is an RFP that we would be putting out for the position of village attorney. I've consulted with other municipalities to see, just to cross-reference our needs against what the language in some of their RFPs are. I have developed something. It's still in draft. I will release it so in a way that everyone has an opportunity to review it fairly. But it will encompass the scope of work that we would require, much akin to what Mr. Powell has been doing for the village in his time here as interim.
Thank you very
And if
much.
you all have any, I ask that you kind of look at my notes that I provided you. Those are just notes. If you have anything to add to it, I mean, you all are you have oversight over the village attorney, so I ask that you consider scope of work and things you'd like to see from the village attorney as we put the RFP together so that we can release it.
Chair, if I may.
Thank you, Madam
I think it's
Manager.
important to
Councilperson
take a look at what the current contract with our attorney has to ensure that we are including everything into the RFP process, and that perhaps this should come back to the committee so that we can, once we have the scope of work for the RFP before it goes out, compare it with what our current attorney's contract is, and then send it out. I think that that process is definitely something that needs to take place.
May I did refer to the current contract as I put these notes together, too.
Okay, if
So
the
it does
council can get a
encompass-
copy of the contract.
Absolutely. I'll get that to you.
For sure. Thank you very much, Councilperson Roman. Is there anything that you want to add, Madam Manager?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Councilperson Roman, anything you want to add or any last question that you have about the RFP for village attorney?
I just want to clarify the process on the record
Yeah, for sure. So,
of what we're doing next.
yeah. So the way I would see it is the manager has the draft, then she formalizes into a final, what she sees is what should be in the RFP. It comes back to committee. We discuss it. It also needs to, I would think that it would also need to be
For the full council,
for
no?
the full council, yes, because I would want Councilperson Urban and Councilperson Mathis to, because they might have ideas also, to have an input, because when it comes to it, we're all going to be voting on it, you know what I mean? So why don't we, do we want to bring it back to committee to work it, or do we want to bring it back to full council? The thing about it is that the working part does happen in committee form.
Correct, and we haven't done that.
And we haven't done that. So we'll bring it back to committee to work it, then we'll bring it to full council. That way, even if we work it through committee, if there are things that when it goes to full council, Councilperson Urban or Mathis might be like, well, what about this? So even after we have worked it, there might be things that we might have to take it back and add, or subtract after that. But yes, that's what we'll do. So the next thing is that the draft will become final, come back to committee. That's the next step. So,
That's fine.
is that good?
Excellent.
Okay. Mr. Attorney, any questions or comments about the RFP for the village attorney?
I'm not allowed to participate.
I understand, but I go down the line.
Why should be sitting here?
I go down the line. Madam Clerk, any questions or comments about the RFP for the village attorney? Thank you very much. Okay, from that, Madam Manager or Councilperson Roman, are there any other, we've talked about the IT, financial services, village attorney, and waste disposal services. Are there any other ones that right now we're kind of like forgetting about that we might want to think about? That anybody can think of on the top of their mind?
No, I think we already discussed, didn't we do the lawn services?
Yes, we discussed lawn services, and I actually do have an RFP prepared for that, but we are in a contract with Mitchell Lawn Services, and they have assigned it at the same rate to another company. So I want to see out that contract, just to give myself a little leeway to do these RFPs
Okay.
before I get to lawn. But that'll come. It'll come in the new year. So it's going to take me a little bit of time to get through these to address that. And I think that they would be a capable outfit to handle the rest of the contract for Mitchell. And they've met with me and the chair of Public Works, Councilperson Mathis, and gone over their duties as they are assigned this new contract with us. And the company is called Orchid Man Lawn Service.
Okay. And who do we use for, oh my gosh, for like, fumigation and like, who do we use to, like for,
We don't
do we
fumigation.
spray for fumigation?
No,
Do
we
we do
don't.
any of that?
No,
or-
we don't.
Okay. And we don't do our public areas either?
No.
Okay.
No, we don't use pesticides, no, nothing like that. There's fertilizer only used on lawn, but
Okay,
that's
so
it.
there's nothing used inside the building?
No. Well, inside the building, we have a
Exterminator.
exterminator.
That's what I meant,
Yeah.
exterminator. That's
Okay.
the word I was looking for.
Okay.
I just couldn't find it.
Okay.
Who do we use for exterminator, and does that go out for an RFP?
No, I don't believe that's, not since I've been on staff have we done that. I can look into it. I think they have a contract where they come once a month to spray. I'll look into that. I haven't reviewed the extermination.
Okay, and if, while you're looking at that, if you could look at what they utilize as well.
Okay.
The chemicals,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very important. The chemical aspect
Yeah.
is very important.
So,
Yeah.
and yeah, we're looking at contracts then, and I'm glad to hear that we don't use anybody for the outside.
No, we
Okay,
don't.
so our current lawn company, which is no longer Mitchell, but they don't spray?
No. No, they're all organic. They don't utilize any harsh chemicals. They just use fertilizer, and that's even, some organic matter. They are arborists and lawn people who really care about that, providing something that's very healthy to the environment. So, and also we have to have that for our MPDES outfall water. We have to report that to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. So we are required to have that. No pesticides, no harsh chemicals.
Thank you, Madam Manager.
You're welcome.
Councilperson Roma, anything else you want to add? Mr. Attorney, anything that you want to add before we leave the RFP? Madam Clerk, anything you want to add or question? Thank you very much. So we're leaving G1. We're going to go to G2. As we're entering G2, and let me just say, I remember when we were doing the budget hearing. I remember I asked Councilperson Mathis, because he had brought that up before, and during that I asked him if he, spoke to the line, the new line. He said that he spoke to them, and he said that he was very pleased. He said the way it looked was that he thinks we'll be pleased in the near future. So hopefully that comes to fruit.
Yes, I think they're going to be better than Mitchell. They've
Yeah,
been very
that's what he
dependable
was
already.
saying.
And when we were preparing for Hurricane Dorian, our contract with Mitchell was ending that Saturday, and Hurricane Dorian was supposed to hit Sunday. So the company who was assigned that, the Orchid Man, piped right up, called me, we're here for you, we'll be there to haul or to take care of the village.
Yeah.
We're ready to activate. So I thought I was very impressed with that, because I know that in the past we haven't had that kind of support from our lawn service. I'm just thinking back to Hurricane Irma. So I'm appreciative of them. I think they're going to be a good fit for us while we look for the next lawn service, and it could possibly be them if they're allowed to, or if they want to bid or send in proposals. So we'll see.
How long is their contract?
It's for a year, but I think that we have about 9 months left, but we can certainly end it. As long as we give 30 days notice, but we do have 12 months to.
Right. And I'm just
Okay.
curious why, I wasn't going to ask until the other committee meeting, but since we're at it, why did they change?
Because Mitchell retired.
Oh, okay.
He's retiring and wants to just sell off, and so Orchid Man has taken over all of his contracts.
Got it. Okay.
Well, there you go. Always good to go into retirement when you get to that point. Very good. And thank you for your work, you and Councilperson Mathis, with that. We appreciate that. Thank
You're
you very much. What else I want? Oh, and Councilperson Roman, you'll be also pleased to hear that when we were doing the budget hearing, that I made sure they did not forget all of your things. So I went through and made sure, right, for
Yes,
everything public affairs. I was like, didn't Councilperson Roman say she wanted this? Didn't she say she wanted it? So we got that in. You're always thought about, sister. The next one is the legislative priorities and updates. As we go into this, I want to, because we're going to be talking about money, priorities, and things like that, I wanted to very quickly, Madam Manager, for what we have in front of us, just the simple budget, read out. I want to bring my good friend up.
Ivan Haneo,
Yes.
yeah, right here.
And I'm going through a Councilperson Roman or Madam Manager. Is there anything, as you quickly look over this, is there anything that you want to question or have questions about? Councilperson Roman, I'll give you a minute. Give us a minute to go over. Thank you very much. We're good. All right, so at this particular time, we don't have any particular questions for you. Is there anything, well, first of all, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
How you doing?
First time,
First time, I know, first time. Madam Manager, if you just want to explain.
First, I want to introduce everyone to Ivan Haneo. He's our CPA. He's part of our finance team under Irwin Williams. And welcome to your first Admin
thank
and
you.
Finance Committee meeting. Mr. Haneo has been working with us 2 to 3 days a week, just taking care of we're trying to take care of our finance, budget, the audit, and all of our necessary filings for trim and taxes, property taxes. If you could just give us like a general snapshot of what's before us. I know you may be able to
regarding the
discuss
budget?
expenditures and
I
revenues.
consider
and where
that
we
most
stand.
of the revenues and expenditures are within the line as projected. The two issues that I can see right here, but you already know, is about the legal fees and the finance and administration, which I don't see that there was an appropriation on the original budget, approved budget. The other issue has to do with the public works, which you have to authorize the roof repairs for $44,775, and there was not enough budget to cover those expenditures.
Right. But I might add, and you're well aware, the roof expenditure came from money that was reallocated from a general fund, from a lien satisfaction.
Yeah. That's
So
what
those
I don't
funds
see in
are
the
available, they're just,
the budget that we are
It's-
using still is the original budget, not the modified budget.
well, I understand, but I want to be clear.
Yeah, okay,
because
no, it's
when we're
important.
talking about things
That's very
being
important.
you know, unbudgeted, we were able to reallocate to utilize that fund for the roof repairs. And as for the legal fees, again, that was an unforeseen cost to the village, but it is covered under our general operating fund. So we are In the black, right? I mean, that's what we want to hear.
Okay.
And the legal fees, just to clarify, that was for the Hufnagel?
Absolutely. The
Okay.
unforeseen
unforeseen
situation with our
situation
employment
where- okay.
issue with Huffman.
And for the roof repair, if you guys out there remember, Councilperson Urban, when he first came on, that's when we got the money from the lien back,
Yes.
and we discussed up here, what we're going to do with it and things like that, and that's where that came from. So,
Absolutely.
Christia, do you know if I really can't tell by looking at this, but do you know if the monies that were donated, raised for public affairs, if they were applied?
That I do not know. I'm still awaiting breakdown from our finance team on itemization of each event. I've only gotten the 5K so far. I'm still waiting for our CPAs to give me those numbers.
Yeah, we actually brought that up the day of the budget hearing, the first. Yes, that
I mean,
came.
we've only been waiting just a few months.
Yes.
Yes.
I guess a couple more months aren't going,
Okay.
I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah,
If we-
yeah.
I like to see those by next month if possible.
Extremely important.
I mean, the next committee meeting, not next month,
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
in December, no? What are
Next
we in?
I'm sorry, I'd like to see them by next week. We discussed in the meeting
Right, but
that
we
we
need-
want to have it
Okay,
for
perfect.
the reallocation.
So whatever she says, but we need to discuss the itemized at the next committee meeting for the public affairs.
For sure.
So I'd like to be able to prepare that for the committee
Absolutely.
by then.
Absolutely, Councilperson Roman, I agree. And I will get that to you as best I can through our finance team.
For sure. And Madam Manager did bring that up at the budget hearing. She said Councilperson Roman has been
for
asking.
months.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been
yeah,
months.
it's been months. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
No,
I appreciate it. Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much. Madam Manager, anything else you want to add about that
No.
before we get into the?
On that.
All right. Councilperson Roman.
I know we were obligated
Go
on the FEMA.
Yes.
Has anything hit the bank yet?
Not yet. We're still going back and forth with the state, but we're very optimistic, and we all, we're doing the right things. We haven't had any complaints. We just haven't
We're
gotten that
staying
check yet.
optimistic.
Yes, we just
I
Yes.
visited the FEMA offices last week.
Oh,
No, look
okay.
at that.
And I had to hold back before
We're
asking.
asking. You're like, by the way.
Since I'm here,
I was like, by the way, can I just take the check home with me?
that would be nice.
By the way,
Absolutely.
there's something that we're waiting for.
We're waiting.
We appreciate that FEMA has allocated the funds,
Yes.
and we understand with everything in government, and especially banking and things take time. But just to let our residents know, it has been allocated the full amount.
Yes,
Thank you
and
for that.
obligated. Allocated and obligated.
Allocated and
Waiting for the check.
obligated and obligated. Thank you very much.
But it was very interesting because they did explain to me the entire process.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, so
That had to be
it was,
nice.
it was very interesting, quite interesting how everything works and,
Yeah. That's really good. That's really good. And like I wanted to say, recently, Councilperson Roman went with the mayor to a Florida League of Cities
yes.
conference.
To the conference.
And you were saying, if you want to say, and just like, because you were talking about FEMA and like how they were explaining how at the conference you know, like going to these conferences, how you really learn a lot, and and it was probably good, maybe, in the future, we all can start to go to more events and things like that. So
Oh,
that-
yes, what I was saying
Yeah.
to our vice mayor, whenever we were here last,
Yeah.
was that I wish I would have gone to that conference when I first got elected. They do have a newly elected session that goes into a lot of details. I was happy to hear that most of what we've been doing is on the right track.
That's good.
And most of what's been asked of our administration is, it's not, out of line. It's definitely something that is across the board in government. And so that was great to see, but it's definitely opened my eyes to a lot. It was great networking. I recommend that all of us in the council and our administration continue to get educated and attend these conferences. So there is one coming up, which I was going to mention in public affairs, but I'll mention it now. The Miami-Dade League of Cities is having their annual conference October 3rd. So I am registered to
Yep.
attend. I was supposed to go last year, but I had an emergency, so I'm looking forward to going this year. So if anybody else wants to attend, you're welcome to register.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Roman. I appreciate that. And education is definitely a wonderful thing. The clerk has been going to her classes and going for her certification. I'll keep the rest in the wraps for now, but she's been going and getting her education also. Man, we can all benefit from going to conferences and being educated, and learning more. So appreciate that. And I am registered for the event.
Good.
So I'll be seeing you there. And that, the League of Cities event is a wonderful event, and for so many years the mayor has spoke at those because she's been on the board for so many years. She's our mayor's president now, but even before she was president, she was on the board for many years, and even before she was on the board, she was so active they would give her a speaking room, and I've been to almost everyone, I think, except for 1 year. So yeah, those are wonderful events, and the mayor always gives like a good speech when she does her breakout room. So definitely looking forward to that. Thank you very much, Councilperson Roman.
You're welcome.
Mr. Attorney, is there anything that you want to add or about we went through the general fund paper right there? Is there any questions? Madam Clerk, is there anything you want to say about the finances, the general fund, or?
No, I have a conference coming up in October, the usual October. So.
It is October stuff, yeah. No, the clerk's been wonderful as far as getting her education and going to these conferences, and really appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
You learn a lot.
Really appreciate that. We're moving on to the legislative priorities and updates. Madam Manager, if you want to start us off on that.
Yes. Taking your suggestions, Vice Mayor Nickerson, we decided to diversify our ask this legislative session. In years gone by, we've just done 2 asks because we thought we'd have a chance of getting, one of them. Didn't want to be too greedy, but also wanted to make sure we got our priorities in. Those are still our priorities, but we've added 2 more. The session is starting early next month, October. So we are already working on our Senate and House templates for our request. And the mayor and I met with our legislative team, our lobbyist team, and had a very fruitful discussion on ways to better appeal to our legislators and to get some kind of funding on one of our priorities. Our priorities are, we have 4. One is called the Little River Sea Level Project. It's for all stormwater and outfalls in the village. It will be phases. Since it impacts sea level, we are calling it that because that's what is, I think names are more important and more appealing when they're on these long lists of requests from other areas throughout the state. So that's what we're calling that. The second one is the Northeast 2nd Avenue sewer line, which we will continue to ask for because, as you know, that impacts our city the most. If we could get sewer line there, that would attract businesses and that would assist us in so many other ways as well. The third is regional park. We are looking to expand our park, one of the 4 or 5 parks we do have. We would like to get some funding to make it either disabled accessible or something that would appeal to a segment of the community that could bring people from outside of El Portal to the park. So again, it could be a park that is for seniors, or it can be a park for disabled children, a myriad of things we're looking into to see which one of our parks could best fit that regional park funding and to be fitted for that. And our 4th is a school safety traffic calming rotunda by Horace Mann Middle School, and again, it's about school safety because of the traffic and all of the things that are happening there 2 times a day, every school day, as well as the traffic that's on the street that impacts the school. So those are our 4 asks this year, and we are looking forward to getting to Tallahassee to meet with our legislators. We've got meetings coming up in October and November, and I will keep you all updated, as I'm sure the mayor will as well, when we will be traveling. And I think that it would be helpful to have other members of the council also participate where possible when we do our legislative visits to Tallahassee.
Let me just say real quick, Councilperson Roman, I'm coming to you right now. First of all, I just want to say thank you, Madam Manager, for that. Just to clarify a little bit more, so I met with the manager as we meet frequently, and as far as the parks things goes, we would not be able to get any funding just simply because we have an El Portal Park. Right. Even for environmental reasons or green reasons. So the way that we're hoping that this is going to happen, and to give it a better chance of happening, we have to kind of do something with our parks. And not to say that now, it's not like now our parks are closed to the public.
No,
they're open to the public now anyway. So, but we have to do something to where it shows that we're attempting to be more broad as far as our bringing people into our parks, and we could possibly get funding for making our park bringing like a speciality element to our park, such as disabled access, or such as a senior senior kind of like favorability or something like that will be open to everybody throughout. Not just in the community. So that's why that's like that. The second thing I wanted to say, Councilperson Roman, before I go to you, let me just say this, is that if you still, anybody, Councilperson Urban, Councilperson Mathis, any of us, I didn't say your name because you're up here with me, but any of us, if we still have ideas as far as what we may want to see on the, to our lobbyists for legislative priorities, it's still not too late. If you have an idea, you can still contact the manager and try to get it to the manager so she can try to, get it out. I met with her recently, and we were I met with her, and I was talking to her about, Native American, if there's anything, right? And I mean, she started making phone calls right there. She was calling the lobbyists right there on the spot. Just anything Native American that we can get funding for, not only because we have the mound, and she was saying, and we were discussing that we might not be able to get it for like the actual mound, but I was just curious as far as if there's any funding, because we do have the mound, and this was like a Native American area. If there's funding available for areas that have Native Americanism surrounding it, for the simple fact that a lot of times, I know, you guys know my dad's African American, my mom's Native American. For a lot of times, the government would put aside funding for areas that are Native American because of the past discriminations and the past genocides and things like that. So it just might be funding available, and she's still looking into that for me. So there's still, so I said all that to say there's still time. If you do have anything that pops up in your mind as far as legislative priorities, I'm really big this year about sending out everything we possibly can so we can possibly get something back, and so sky's the limit as far as I'm concerned. Councilperson Roman, it's all yours.
I mean, I think the mount is important also for maintaining the maintenance of it, and being that is a historic. So I would be interested to see if there's anything historically that we can do to maintain it. Right now, it's just,
Can I tell you, I didn't have an opportunity to speak after you did, Vice Mayor. It's fine.
Sorry.
We didn't have a chance to speak after I did speak with the lobbyist. And so it may not be a legislative ask, but he did inform me there are grants that we could apply for. They will require some matching, but we could, we have to look at our money, and then maybe there is a way we can do it. But there is some opportunity for us to do the curb on the mound, the fencing, landscaping, signage, and lighting. And we just need to work with a designer to get a price. And he said that we'd done this 2 years ago through the Miami Circle designers, but I don't know those people, but we'll look. I'll look them up and find them again, because I don't like reinventing, especially if we paid for something and we didn't utilize it. let's revisit this. So I'll try to get that, but we may not have to send that to Tallahassee. We may just request a grant if we can show that we have some matching. So I'll keep you informed on that.
Thank you. And sorry I didn't come back to you after I was finished speaking. I was so anxious to get the councilperson Roman. I saw her there like waiting to speak. So thank you very much, Madam Manager. I appreciate it. Councilperson Roman's
No,
back
that's
on.
perfect. My only other question is, was there anything else that our lobbyists, with their experience, recommend?
They recommended that we be realistic and that it not be huge asks, but doable ones. And so that is why they recommend phases in terms of the stormwater and the sewer line. And though we look at Northeast 2nd Avenue and say, well, it's just, a short distance, it is a little over $5 million to put that line in. So they're recommending phases. That's a little more palatable for legislators to say, okay, I can give you $300,000 as opposed to $3 million. So, and also matching funds. So they're also letting me know we need to get out there and try to get some funding from this, from the county and from other entities, and to do some self-help so that we can show that we, as the mayor always says, have skin in the game. So we do have some CDBG money that we are able to utilize for road repair once we do the sewer line on the west side. I think that would look a lot more attractive to the legislation or the legislators if they see that we are proactive and we're doing something for our little town as well.
Thank you. I know I have a question. First of all, who's it? Officer Burrell in the back? How you doing, Officer Burrell? I want to give a shout out to Officer Burrell. Good to see you here, man. Thanks for always protecting us at these meetings. We appreciate it. I know that Florida is a retirement state, so I'm assuming there has to be a lot of funding for seniors and retirees. And El Portal has a substantial senior community. So there has to be something, we should really look in, there has to be something that we can get this legislative season for like our seniors. We have a substantial number of seniors, because I'm thinking that, because a lot of times the way things work is like if you have a certain percentage of this, then like you're more likely to get those type of funds. And so if we can look into, because of our percentage of seniors, are there maybe funds that we can get that maybe other communities don't have the same percentage that they might not be able, it might be something that we can get pretty easily. Just thought about that, but.
I'll ask our lobbying team.
That'll be good, thank you. Madam Manager, anything else you want to add?
No, thank you.
Councilperson Roman? Mr. Attorney, anything else you want to add? No? And Madam Clerk?
No, thank you.
No, thank you very much. All right, so we're going to move on to G3. So, the last time we had a committee meeting, we had a very, very, very energetic disagreement, myself and Councilperson Roman, who I love to death. But you guys all know how I am, right? I'm all about compromise and things like this. So this is what I'm going to do. So basically, so my, my take was that, and if you notice, the agenda items today are not as lengthy as they were last time, because what I was saying I was doing was I was going through the tracking report, and I was taking certain things and putting on the agenda because I wanted to address certain things right then and there, instead of tracking them throughout, an entire year. So but there was a disagreement. So this is what I'm going to do. I am going to, Councilperson Roman, I am going to I'm going to do the same thing, but what we're going to do is, starting next committee meeting, we'll have the full tracking report that you wanted. And what we'll do is we'll go through it, and there'll be certain, and if we find that there are things that we can put on the agenda that they're like, time sensitive and stuff like that we want to, get out of the way, then we'll do it that way. But we'll start with everything written out. Is that a good comfort? Are we good with that? Is that perfect? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Is that perfect? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. As far as what's there now, so what I did go through as far as, the RFPs, that was something that I did want to, because these things I feel are more time sensitive, right? Everything with the budget is pretty much done. The trim, we did,
yes,
everything
we got
worked
it
out
in
with that.
Friday and today and yesterday.
Okay,
or Monday, yeah.
So everything like, the millage rate, the trim and things like that. And thank you very much, Madam Manager and Madam Clerk and Mr. Attorney, for that. As far as ethics, Madam Clerk, is everybody, I mean, you might not know off the top of your head,
I
but
received your certificate, I think, Councilperson Romans and Andres. I think I'm missing
Councilperson
Mathis. I think I got.
if we can really because, and the thing about it is with getting that ethics certification, first of all, make sure that you get the 6 hours instead of
Yes,
instead of just the
it's more
4. A
than
lot of
one.
people miss the 2 hours, and it's very important. You just want to stay up on that. You just want to stay up on that. I'll just put it that way. As far as the lobbying updates, we did put that on the agenda. Because we're going into lobbying time, so it's more important to right now talk about it, just not breeze over it. That's the reason why I put it on the agenda. The actual financials, we always go over that. As far as, because we're usually, when it comes to audits, unfortunately in the past we've been late a lot. We're always late on the audit. Is there any way, is there any way that we can be more progressive,
to be up
this
on
time,
our
can we be
schedule?
more on
Yeah,
time,
there is a way.
more on schedule? Because when it comes to the audits, Madam Manager, for our CFO team, when it comes to the audits, they happen pretty much the same time, right?
Yeah.
So every year, so it should be something that we can kind of plan for. I would think. Right, so hopefully that.
Yeah, I agree, but I know this year we went under even heavier scrutiny from the team, so we just have to be ready for next year. Like you said, it comes at the same time every year. There's no reason why we can't engage earlier, and I'll work with our finance team to make sure we do that.
Yes, extremely important. Councilperson Roman, is there anything that you would like to say? As we said, next committee meeting we will have the full. So, and thank you for your ideas last time, Councilperson Roman. I appreciate it. Madam Manager, anything else you want to add, or any last questions about anything?
No, I'm
Before I
fine,
go to
thank
good
you.
and welfare. All right, Councilperson Roman, is there anything at all you want to add? Bring on our radar? Subtract anything? All right. Mr. Attorney, anything you want to add, bring up, question, anything from the meeting? And Madam Clerk, anything you want to add, bring up,
No,
question,
thank you.
anything from the meeting? Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody up here. This is the good and welfare time right now. We're moving to good and welfare. If anybody wants to come up and say anything about anything at all, it could be this agenda, it could be anything at all. At this particular time, you can come up and talk about anything at all. Come to the front, my brother, and say your name and your address for the record, and we appreciate seeing you here.
All right. Good evening. Anders Zerbaum, 460 Northeast 89th Street, as well as a member of the council. So regarding the lobbyists, just quickly, I very much appreciate, Mr. Nickerson, what you're saying in terms of everything, right? Everything. Focus certainly on some things, but in that thinking, for me, I wrote down law enforcement, because we're a small village. There is likely to be some law enforcement aid out there somewhere, right? Historical sites, I think, is what we're talking about in terms of things like the mound. Existing projects, of course, like we already have as official lobbying items, right? Like stormwater preparation, things like this. I'm curious to know if there might be something within the insurance industries to find out where they are going in terms of encouraging federal government to assist in things with mitigation, right? So in terms of roofing, like they changed the code on what nails had to be used in a roof years ago because the insurance industry said, hey, this will tear less roofs off in high wind, right? So maybe we track what the insurance companies are doing on a large scale and then try and see if we can get in where they're directing, because they have incredible pull, right? Because if they have to actually pay out claims, then that's affecting their bottom line. They don't want to pay out claims. They're going to tell you what can happen to make sure that we have mitigation. So with stormwater, there might be something within the insurance industry that is ongoing that we could kind of get in on, right? Senior projects, right? Also ADA compliance. So in terms of the park, the word I believe you were looking for earlier is actually inclusion. Yes. So it's not that a park is for someone exclusively, right? But that it's autism inclusive, or elderly inclusive, or disabled and wheelchair inclusive, right? So inclusion is the word, is the name of the game, and ADA, there might be some things within there. But the benefit, I think, of throwing everything out there and seeing what comes back is because if we get items that cover things that are already in the general fund, then we are able to move funds around and free up to maybe acquire funds for a project that was not granted by, state, things like this. So when I feel like there would be certainly within the categories of law enforcement things out there where that could help mitigate, because our law enforcement budget is our largest budget, anything we get to that. And for example, I'd support an agreement, hey, if we get a grant for, say, $100 for law enforcement, that frees up $100 to the general fund, but hey, we'll kick something like 20, 30 of that back to law enforcement as a thank you for helping us get this other general funds. So even, a greater boost to whatever department might get a benefit. Just, there you go. That's where I'm at in terms of that with lobbying. That's all I got for this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councilperson Irvine. Very good points. Madam Manager or Councilperson Roman, is there anything that, he might have sparked in your mind, anything you want to add or say about anything that he said?
No.
No, you're good? All right. Thank you very much. Anybody else for good and welfare? Hearing and seeing none. Thanks again, Officer Burrell. I appreciate it, my brother. That's it. Do I have a motion to adjourn the Administration and Finance Committee meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much. I will second that motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. I'm hearing no nays. The Administration and Finance meeting for the Village of El Portal on Tuesday, September 17th is adjourned at 7:27 p.m.